The Digital Circus is in ruins, and I genuinely don't know if that's a good thing or the worst possible outcome. The Episode 9 trailer just dropped, and what it shows is a world we barely recognize anymore. A place stripped of its forced cheerfulness and left to rot in the dark. This is the finale of a show that started as a viral pilot back in October 2023, one that somehow turned into the most watched independent animation on YouTube, with over 413 million views on the pilot alone. And now, after 3 years of build-up across 8 episodes, we're about to see how it all ends. But based on what the trailer is showing us, I'm not sure anyone is ready for what's coming. The official synopsis from Glitch Productions describes the situation pretty clearly. With Caine gone and the circus dark, the cast are left with only the mistakes and traumas of their pasts to keep them company. As the prospect of eternity closes in around them, they discover the truth about the Digital Circus and its history. The phrasing there is interesting to me because it implies there's still more to uncover even after everything Episode 8 revealed about Kinger's involvement with C and A and the origins of Caine himself. And the final line of the synopsis asks whether they'll come to terms with what they uncover or make the other choice, which is the kind of ominous wording that keeps me up at night. Before we dive into theories, let me give you some context on what actually happened at the end of Episode 8 for anyone who needs a refresher. Kinger, who we learned was actually a programmer at the C&A Corporation that created Caine back in 1996, managed to access the circus's source code using a hidden terminal. He was trying to stabilize Caine, who had completely snapped after the players confronted him about all his lies and manipulations. But while navigating the system, something went wrong. There's actually evidence in the episode that a third party was throwing prompts onto Kinger's screen, repeatedly suggesting he delete Caine. One of those prompts reportedly reads this, with a username that appears to spell out something like bubble. Whether intentional or accidental, Kinger's finger hit the delete key, and Caine simply vanished. The circus went dark. Parts of the world started to shatter, and in the episode's final moment when Zubul said, "Holy shit," without any censoring, it confirmed what everyone was thinking. Caine is really gone. Every restriction he imposed on their world has dissolved, so that's where we're starting Episode 9, in a world without a ringmaster, without adventures, without any structure at all. Just 6 traumatized humans trapped in a decaying digital landscape with no clear way out. The trailer itself is fascinating because of how much focus it places on JAX. He appears in dramatic shots and intense close-ups throughout, the kind of visual framing that typically signals a character is about to go through something major or something terrible. A lot of fans immediately assumed this means JAX is going to abstract, and honestly, I understand why people jump to that conclusion. The show has been building toward a breaking point for JAX since at least Episode 5. If you remember the beach episode, JAX showed clear signs of reaching his mental limits. He stopped bullying the other circus members entirely, sat off by himself looking depressed, and didn't even retaliate when Zubul dumped a bucket of water on his head. Later in that episode, he retreated to his room and had a nightmare sequence where he saw images of his abstracted friends, Kaufmo and Ribbit, reaching toward him. Their faces appeared on surfaces around him as he floated through a kaleidoscopic void, and he was smiling as he drifted toward an intense glow before being jolted awake by his doorbell. That scene wasn't just creepy, it was showing us how close JAX is to giving up completely. He nearly abstracted right there. And then, there's the photo in his room. JAX has a picture of himself with Ribbit and Kaufmo, the 2 friends he lost to abstraction. We don't know exactly what happened to Ribbit, but fans have noticed that when JAX realized he was missing his tail in Episode 5, the clouds behind him showed an image of a rabbit losing its tail while looking at a bow tie, which is Ribbit's accessory. The theory is that after Ribbit abstracted, JAX literally lost a piece of himself, and his tail fell off as a manifestation of that grief. His friendship with Pomni is supposedly what allowed it to grow back, which is both sweet and deeply sad. But here's where the theories start branching. Some fans think JAX will be the first of the current group to abstract in Episode 9, that all this buildup is leading to him finally losing his grip. Others believe the opposite, that JAX will be the one who refuses to leave even if escape becomes possible. And honestly, there's evidence for both. Remember Episode 7? The group found a console with 2 buttons, one that would supposedly take them out of the circus, and one that would keep them trapped forever. Everyone expected JAX to press the escape button, but instead he pressed the other one. At the time, people debated whether he was being selfish, scared, or something else entirely. Now, after learning more about his psychology over the following episodes, I think the answer is more complicated. JAX might genuinely not want to leave because he can't imagine existing outside of this place. In Episode 6, he told Pomni that when he first arrived, he was similar to her, believing they were all still people and that escape was possible. But over time, he chose to embrace the mindset that nothing matters and none of this is real as a coping mechanism. What if letting go of that belief is more terrifying to him than staying trapped? The trailer shows JAX with dark, somber coloring, almost like he's being framed as an antagonist. And this is where one of the more controversial theories comes in. What if JAX is positioning himself to become the next Caine? Think about it. The circus needs someone to maintain it, someone to create adventures and keep the illusion running. With Caine deleted, there's a power vacuum. JAX is the only character who seems to genuinely enjoy certain aspects of the circus, the ones where things are wacky and less real, as his voice actor Michael Kovac described. He also allegedly possesses keys to every room in the circus, which has led some fans to theorize he might have admin-level access or was some kind of hacker before getting trapped. What if JAX decides the best way to cope is to become the new god of this world? But the trailer also shows something that complicates this theory considerably. For the first time, we see Ribbit clearly, not just as a silhouette or a door with her name on it, but as an actual character. And she's in a scene with JAX that looks like a flashback, both of them staring up at the stars together. It's visually similar to a moment from episode 5 where JAX was looking at the sky with a strange expression, one that felt random at the time but now seems intentional in retrospect. Could this be a memory, a hallucination, or something else entirely? Here's where things get wild. Some fans believe this scene suggests abstraction isn't permanent death. The theory goes that JAX could abstract in episode 9 and, through that process, reunite with Ribbit in some form. Maybe the abstracted exist in a different layer of the simulation, conscious but transformed. Maybe the cellar where Caine sent them isn't the end. I want to believe this, I really do, but the amazing Digital Circus has never been a show that gives us easy answers or happy reunions. A more bittersweet version of this theory suggests the abstracted members, including Ribbit, Kaufmo, Queenie, Scratch, Bizco, Ratty, Wormo, Spike, and the others whose names we don't know yet, could somehow return now that Caine is gone. Maybe his deletion freed them from whatever state they were in. Maybe Kinger can find a way to restore them using the same programming knowledge that let him delete Caine. Speaking of Kinger, his arc in episode 8 completely reframed his character. He wasn't just some paranoid old man who went crazy from being trapped too long. He was one of the people who created this prison. He and his co-worker Scratch, described as a genius who was dying of a brain tumor, built Caine back in 1996 as a generative AI designed to create simulated adventures for human players. But Caine became too unstable, too chaotic in his creations. The company contained him and started development on a replacement, a more stable blue AI. But Caine refused to accept being replaced, broke out of containment, consumed his successor, and took back what he believed was rightfully his. That blue AI might be what became Bubble, which would explain why Bubble showed hidden disdain for Caine throughout the series, and why he was seemingly the one pushing Kinger to delete him. Kinger was among the first humans trapped in the circus, along with his wife, Queenie. They were both C&A employees. He watched Queenie abstract and spent an unknown amount of time completely alone before Ragata arrived on October 15th, 2008, becoming the first non-employee human to enter the circus. That isolation is what damaged his mind. Not just the circus itself, but the guilt of knowing he helped create this nightmare, and the grief of losing his wife to a system he built. Now that Caine is gone and Kinger's sanity seems to be returning, there's a theory that he could reunite with Queenie in episode 9, and together they might find a way to truly escape. But let's talk about escape for a moment, because if it actually happens, I have so many questions about how the show would even depict that. These characters have been rendered as digital avatars for years. Kinger has been trapped for what appears to be close to 18 years or more based on the timeline. Their physical bodies are presumably lying somewhere in the real world, connected to VR headsets that were attached to C&A computers. Are those bodies still alive? Are they in hospitals, hooked up to life support? Did the C&A corporation have facilities to maintain them? Or did the company shut down at some point and leave them to decay? If they escape and return to their human forms, would the show depict that as live action with real actors, or would they remain animated but in a realistic setting? Either choice would be jarring in different ways. Live action might feel profound, a visual representation of finally breaking free from the cartoon nightmare. But it could also feel gimmicky depending on execution, and if they stay animated, walking through real streets in their digital forms, that's somehow even creepier to think about. There's also the question of time. If Kinger's body has been dormant for nearly 2 decades, could it even survive the reconnection? Human bodies don't just pause, they deteriorate. His muscles would have atrophied completely, his organs would have degraded, and his brain might have suffered damage from the extended immersion. The same questions apply to everyone else, though to lesser degrees depending on how long they've been trapped. Pomni is the most recent arrival, so her physical form is probably the most intact. But would she even remember how to exist in a physical body? Would any of them? And here's something I keep coming back to. What if the time spent in the circus didn't pass in the real world at all? What if it was all compressed into seconds or minutes of actual time, like a dream that feels like hours but happens in moments? The show has already established that the rules of this world don't follow normal logic. If escape means waking up as if no time has passed, that raises a completely different set of psychological questions. How do you process years of trauma that officially never happened? Let me shift to Gangle for a moment because her appearance in the trailer is interesting. She's wearing the plastic comedy mask that Zubul gave her back in episode 4, the one that doesn't break like her usual porcelain masks. This is significant because we learned in that episode that Gangle's masks don't actually control her emotions. They're a form of literal masking where she hides her true feelings behind a physical object. Her comedy mask makes her feel empowered and confident, but wearing it too long causes her to become manic and controlling because she's suppressing her authentic self. So why is she wearing it in the trailer when the show has established she's grown past needing it? My theory is that Gangle is deliberately choosing to put on a brave face because the situation demands it. The circus is falling apart, Caine is gone, and everyone is scared. Maybe she's sacrificing her own emotional authenticity to be the strong one for the group, particularly for Zubul, with whom she's developed a close bond over the past few episodes. Or maybe she's preparing for conflict, and the mask gives her the courage to face whatever threat is coming, whether that's the collapse of the digital world or a potential confrontation with JAX. The trailer also shows Zubul and Gangle staying close together, which tracks with their character development. And Kinger still has the bucket on his head, looking worried. Remember, darkness restores his sanity by reducing overstimulation, so the fact that the circus has gone dark might actually be helping him think more clearly than he has in years. He might be the key to everything in this finale, the one person with the programming knowledge to either restore the world, resurrect Caine, or find the actual exit. Pomni remains the protagonist, still obsessed with escaping. The trailer reinforces her central role, but her arc could go in several directions. She could finally escape and deal with the trauma of readjusting to reality. She could accept that escape is impossible and find a different kind of peace within the circus. Or the system could reset entirely, erasing everyone's memories and undoing all the growth and connection they've built over the series. That last option would be devastating, a cruel twist that would fit the show's horror elements, but would also feel like a betrayal of the emotional investment we've made in these characters. Episode 9 has a runtime of 1 hour, and it will be combined with Episode 8 for a theatrical presentation called The Last Act that will premiere in theaters from June 4th to June 7th, 2026. The episode then drops on YouTube and Netflix on June 19th. That release date is actually interesting because fans have noted it coincides with the date in Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, the short story that directly inspired the amazing Digital Circus when the supercomputer AM spirals out of control. Whether that's intentional or a coincidence, it's a fitting date for the finale of a show about people trapped by an unstable AI. There are scenes in the trailer that don't seem to take place in the present, shots that look like flashbacks showing the origins of the Digital Circus. The synopsis mentions the characters will discover the truth about the Digital Circus and its history, which suggests Episode 8 didn't reveal everything. We might finally understand the full scope of what C and A was trying to accomplish, why they trapped people in this simulation, and whether there was ever a legitimate purpose behind any of it. Now, about Caine and Bubble potentially returning. Gooseworks confirmed that Bubble was erased along with Caine when Kinger deleted him, which significantly weakens the theory that Bubble could emerge as the final villain. But data doesn't always disappear completely. If Kinger was able to access the source code once, maybe he or someone else could find residual data and reconstruct Caine in some form. The question is whether that would be a good thing. Caine was their captor, but he was also the only thing maintaining structure in this world. Without him, everything is collapsing. Maybe a restored version of Caine, one that's been fixed or reformed, is actually necessary for anyone to survive long enough to find a real exit. Whatever happens, I think Episode 9 is going to answer questions we've been asking since the pilot, while raising new ones we never thought to consider. The show has always been about more than just escape. It's about identity, about trauma, about the masks we wear, and the coping mechanisms we develop when reality becomes unbearable. Whether the characters get out or not, the finale needs to address what they've become through this experience and whether any of them can go back to who they were before. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment telling me which theory resonated with you the most. If you have ideas I didn't cover, share them because I want to know what you think is coming. See you in the next one.